you ready to go?
You're listening to The Scrimmage with Daniel Hargrove and Justin Domashevitz.
Are you going for like a Doppler effect kind of thing here?
Yeah, a little. There was a little, and also like, hello, oh no, I'm not there.
But you are.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I like your shirt.
Thank you.
Yeah. Been watching a lot of...
You're listening to The...
Sorry.
That's
apparently I didn't do a good enough job.
No,
Anyway.
this is the guy who was just repeatedly asking us if we were ready.
Yes.
I have to do a bunch
1
of
minute
things to go.
Well, we were busy
I'm-
talking about
Yeah.
semi-show related things.
Semi-show related things. I'm Daniel Hargrove.
I'm Justin Domashevitz, and our producer, Andrew Gross, is the one who has to be doing a lot of things. You're listening to The Scrimmage, brought to you by Ole Penn Real Estate and the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz.
Yes. And you're wearing an Avatar Last Airbender shirt.
Yeah,
Which...
one of my favorite shows of all time.
Oh, mine too. Mine too. I'm now watching Korra.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
My dog's name is Zuko.
Oh, I saw that. I saw you named your dog Zuko, and it warmed my heart.
Yeah.
Korra's
That's
not
why I
as
did it
good
to
as-
warm
as
hearts.
Avatar, though.
Korra is very different. It's a
so
super
different.
different vibe. It's,
You know what I think the main difference is? Because at first it started a little slow, and I was like, I'm not sure if I like this, and then I forced myself through the first couple episodes and then got super sucked in.
Yeah. The story is really interesting.
Maybe I shouldn't say it because it's kind of a spoier, but the
That show's
whole-
been out for years.
Okay, the different bad guys every season.
Yeah.
That's like I liked the other way.
Because you only kind of have that. Like, there are, in the original Avatar show, there are villains with short story arcs.
Yeah.
But then there's the overarching,
You have
like,
that-
Sozin's Comet, Fire Lord Ozai. Like, you know that's going to be the end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in this one, the first season, I was like, oh my gosh. I was texting you as I was watching. I was like,
Yeah.
this bad guy's insane. Like, this is awesome. And then at the end, he was just gone.
Amon.
Amon.
That's a
Yeah.
good bad guy.
Yeah, he was a
He's
great
good
bad guy. And he had a deep backstory, too, where you're like, oh, it's not really his fault he's twisted. He's just twisted.
Yeah.
And then the next bad guy literally merged with, like, the darkest, most powerful spirit. And then now that's gone. And I'm like, how are they going to top that? That was...
How much do you have left? Are you...
We're in season 3.
Okay.
So we have a season and a half left.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but it gets so much weirder than you could possibly imagine.
Oh, because it's gotten pretty weird so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, the thing for me...
I don't even watch anime, but I thought that was how all anime was. This is the biggest, baddest bad guy you can ever imagine. And then next week
Yeah.
it's bigger and badder.
I
had
think
a-
that's partially why
yeah.
I liked the first Avatar is because they didn't do that.
I had a hard time when we started watching Korra because when I watched it in the beginning, I'm like, okay, you're 16 and you've known your whole life you're the Avatar.
Yeah.
Aang learned it when he was 12, and
And then he was frozen for
he's
100 years.
twice as intellectual and thoughtful as you are. He's still goofy. He loves to have a good time. Like, he just... Like, Aang is so much more of a likable character, especially in the beginning.
Yes.
Korra grows on you as the series goes on, but at first I'm like, you're not my Avatar.
Exactly. Well, not only does she grow on you, but then again, after the season's over, it almost like she loses all of that character growth to start the next season. And you're like, wait a second. You had all this character growth, and now you're acting like you did at the beginning of the first season.
Yeah.
So the sports news was so bad this
Yeah,
week
that we just
that
turned
we've
this
just
into-
decided
I actually
To
could
have a Last
I would
Airbender
like to
episode.
dedicate an entire episode to this, if we're being honest, but I don't think we'd keep everybody.
You know what? Me and you talking Avatar,
Yeah.
I could do an episode of that.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think I think
it would
you're
be
right.
preferable to an NBA only episode.
Well, we didn't have much local sports, so that's why I decided to really get into this a little bit. Because I was like, you know what? We got some time, right? As I'm also like posting our live link now
Yeah.
on Facebook.
Well, mean, we do have a lot of cool stuff to talk about. Even though there's not much local sports, we did have one local team that was still active in the state tournament this past week. That was Monty Girls Soccer. We'll have some Seahawks reaction. We're going to talk a little bit of baseball and a little bit of college football and maybe sneak in a little bit of NBA.
Oh, really?
So let's get it going.
With the 2-minute drill.
Claire Dog's
we
letting
got a
us
comment.
know from YouTube that he hates that they didn't finish the Avatar movie series.
I didn't hate that they didn't finish the Avatar movie series, the live action one,
the live
because
action?
the first movie was such garbage.
That's
and
right.
and the problem is, since we're diving into this,
Okay.
you cannot tell that whole story of book 1 of the Avatar series
No.
in an hour and a half, like
No.
M. Night Shyamalan tried to do.
No.
It needed to be, the book 1 needed to be broken up into 3 2-hour movies. Like, when they tried to cram the entire story into an hour and 37 minutes or whatever it was, it eliminated all of the character development and relationship building and all the little fun stuff that they did along the way.
Isn't that basically
Yes.
making the Justin Domashevitz approved version?
No, because those are all the little things.
He's listing like all the reasons why Lord of the Rings is too long.
All right, well,
And yet I totally agree with you. I think the miniseries format is actually the best.
Yeah.
Like of the what show streaming and those services has brought to the entertainment of the miniseries, where they're like, all right, we have 3 seasons, we have a beginning, an end, we have a story arc, we know when this is going to end, we're not going to keep going even if the ratings are really good for 19 seasons until the show sucks. That's like the best mode of storytelling to me, because you don't get the shows that just run on way too long until they jump the shark and then they get 5 more seasons. And also you don't get the hour-and-a-half movie where you're like, well, that was a cool idea. I wish I knew more about the characters.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that was a good point that Andrew made, because basically what I was advocating for was a Lord of the Rings style trilogy of book 1 of 3 books. So there would have had to be 9 movies in my style to tell the entire story of The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
My
But
wife
the
is
difference
shocked
is-
and surprised that you know what book is.
Well, that's one funny thing about Avatar. They call the seasons book 1, book 2, book 3. They're not actually books.
No.
That's just what they call the seasons of the
Justin
show.
almost didn't watch.
The first episode, he's like, ugh.
I'll watch a book any day. I don't want to listen to one or read one.
Okay. 2-minute
Okay,
drill?
let's go.
Let's go. Huddle up. Gotta hurry. Hey, 2-minute situation. 44 seconds. Hand the ball to the ref. Gonna do it right. 3 jet Buckeye on 1.
The 2-minute drill starts now.
Shohei Ohtani of the Angels and Bryce Harper of the Phillies were named MVPs of the American and National League, respectively, Thursday evening by the Baseball Writers Association of America. Daniel, is it okay with you that both MVPs played on non-playoff teams?
Well, the Baseball Writers Association of America gets almost everything wrong. They get this right. Because how many times have you seen MVP players not win the award because their teams aren't that good? And they're like, oh, let's just give it to the best player on the best team. Regardless if there's another guy who's literally responsible for every one of the team's wins, they just go, your team didn't do very well. No, this is what most valuable player means. You can change the name of the award for those other sports if you want, but Shohei Ohtani was the most valuable player to his team out of anybody in the league. He was their best pitcher and their best hitter. So it's not his fault that his team still sucked so bad around him that they couldn't make the playoffs. Early this week, free agent shortstop Carlos Correa said on the Me Gustan Los Deportes podcast that Hall of Fame shortstop Derek Jeter didn't deserve any of his 5 Gold Glove awards. Wow! Justin, is Correa right?
As much as I hate to agree with Carlos Correa, the cheater from the cheating asterisks, he is so right. Like, at this point now, with all the advanced stats we have, we can look back on Jeter's fielding career and realize there were actually several shortstops in that time that were better than him. He has these weird, like, fancy plays that he did, like the pitch back to get Jeremy Giambi and the jump throw, which makes absolutely no sense to do at all. Anyway, I think He got the Yankee boost. He got the captain boost. He also got the consistency boost because he was a guy who was constantly an all-star, had a lot of name recognition. No, Derek Jeter did not deserve any of his 5 Gold Glove awards. If it were up to me, I'd go to his house and take them away. In a heroic defensive effort,
Yes.
Oregon State defeated Arizona State
Took
on
their
Saturday, 24-10. Daniel, this win combined with Oregon's embarrassing 38-7 loss to Utah. How confident are you that the Beavers can take down the Ducks this coming Saturday?
Oh, they can. They can take them down.
With their iron teeth.
Especially since they're not expected to.
Yeah.
Beavers fans know that if a team is expected to be beaten by the Beavers, they will barf that up in a heartbeat. They were expected to beat Cal in Colorado, and did they do it? No, that would have made too much sense, dang it. But what doesn't make sense is Utah climbs in the polls after this, but Oregon State has beaten both of the teams that Oregon has lost to. And do
Football's
they
weird.
climb in the polls?
No.
No!
Beavers don't climb, I don't think.
They could use their teeth if they wanted to. Damian Lillard dropped a season-high 39 points for the Portland Trailblazers in a win over the Philadelphia 76ers on Saturday. Justin, at the Blazers and Dame turned the corner.
I can say confidently.
Oh,
3 wins in a row.
Oh.
If you go back to last Friday, it's 4 out of 5.
okay.
A couple of those wins are against quality opponents. Dame is finding his stroke. 5 3-pointers and a heck of a lot of, if you watch the highlights, a heck of a lot of takes to the basket in this 39-point effort. The Portland Trailblazers and Damian Lillard are back.
Have they got any wins on the road yet?
Don't ask some inconvenient questions.
It's a good question to which I do not know the answer.
I love how early NBA season, it's
Yeah.
just like totally peripheral.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
We're like literally
Let me know in January.
17 games in, I think, right
Yeah.
now,
And-
out of 84.
Nobody cares until after December.
Yeah. I care a little bit.
I don't care at all, even after December.
I'm trying to look here. We don't have a discussion on the show sheet later about college football polls and what we think is going to happen. Is now a good time for that, since I
Yeah.
brought up how Oregon State
Yes.
has beat Utah and Stanford, both of the teams in the Pac-12 that Oregon has lost to.
Yep.
And those teams got boosts in their standings when they beat Oregon. But Oregon State has beaten both of those teams, and people are like, I know they lost to Colorado, but come on.
I mean, UW lost to Colorado. You know UW's name, right?
Yeah.
Well, let me throw in a poll result here because yesterday I put up a poll on our Twitter page that says, with number 3 Oregon losing to Utah, will number 5 Cincinnati move to the 4 spot in the college football playoff ranking? And I put just below it, Cincy beat SMU 48-14, number 6 and number 8 number 6 Michigan and number 8 Notre Dame, each one convincingly over below average Power 5 teams. So 76% of our audience is confident that Cincinnati will take that number 4 spot. I'm not quite as confident as the rest of them are.
Nope.
Because when I look at this, I'm going, okay, well, Michigan, they already did the whole, well, we just think Michigan's better than Michigan State thing.
Yeah, even though Michigan State beat them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we already have they favor Michigan because of some statistics thing.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see Michigan jumping over the top. To defy all logic, I could see that the College Football Playoff Committee could put Notre Dame in the 4 spot. Just because they've already done the, screw the head-to-head matchup thing. Cincinnati beat Notre Dame. That's Notre Dame's only loss. I could see them being like, wow, you just won 55-0 over a Power 5 team. Obviously, you should move up. Who cares if you lost to Cincinnati at home?
And a Power 5 team that's 3-8?
Yeah.
Yeah, Georgia Tech's not good.
No.
No.
Below average.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Not 3-8, 3-6 maybe.
Something like that.
I can't remember.
They
But
might be 3-8. They might be 3-8.
They've played 11 games already? That seems like a lot.
Well, yeah, I think everybody has.
wow.
Cincinnati's 11-0. Notre Dame's 10-1. Do I have that wrong?
No, I think you're right.
Okay.
I'm still in the past is the thing, because I remember the times when a college football season was 10 games.
Right.
And now it's 12. possibly.
Well, they make
13.
more. They learn that they make more money this way.
Oh, so
Yeah.
they play more games.
Yeah.
But you can't have more playoff games, Justin, because if you have more
No.
playoff games, the students can't
that'd
student.
be too much much on them.
Yeah, too much student.
Have as many regular season games as you want, and add conference championship games
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
But no extra playoff games that would actually help determine a real champion.
Yeah, no,
that's
that
too
would-
far.
Ugh, get away from here. The other encouraging thing, really quick before we get back into that, I was just going to say that the Beavers defense, new defensive coordinator. So that might be the
Okay.
turning point for the defense that the Beavers have needed, because their offense has been good pretty much all season after the first 3 quarters when they had a different quarterback.
Right.
So I'm excited because the new defensive coordinator seems to be working out really well.
And I think it's worth noting that the only touchdown Arizona State scored was on a drive that started at Oregon State's 4-yard line.
Oh, yeah, that'd be
because
hard.
the Oregon State's quarterback fumbled a snap or something.
Yeah.
So they lost the ball, and literally there was like, here, have a touchdown. So besides that one, all they let up was a field goal the whole game.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah. And the whole, they're just supposed to pick the best teams they think of right now, and who cares about head-to-head? Why do we even play the games?
Yeah.
Why not everybody run around and get their 40 times and write it down on paper and be like, we think in this simulation this would happen because this is what we think of this team, because that's all you're doing if you're not looking at who actually beat the other team when they played. If that literally doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't like the whole we picked the best teams, not we picked the best resumes thing. I hate that.
Yeah.
Because you prove who's the best team by what you do on the field.
Exactly.
It's one thing if it's like, oh, well, we were number 2 and we lost the game to the number 3 team, but our quarterback was out that game. Like,
Yeah.
if they want to take that stuff into consideration, that's totally
That makes
reasonable.
sense.
But not when you're Oregon and you puked all over the field against Stanford for like no discernible reason and lost to a bad Stanford team, but
Yeah.
somehow yet you're still ranked 3 above an undefeated team who's kicked the crap out of their opponents in about 85% of their games. And then you can't give me the crap about, oh, well, you can't lose close games to bad teams because other teams that are up there were doing it. Ohio State was doing it. Like, there are close games throughout football. It's the way things are.
Yeah.
And it's only a couple. So you can't point to the Navy game or what was the other one that Cincinnati had? They won Tulane. Like, you
Yeah.
can't point to those 2 games and say, well, they only won by a touchdown. That argument holds no water to me.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. Justin, or Andrew, you're typing furiously over
Yeah,
there. What's going on? Oh.
Francis was in the live messages here, and he said that if Ruff was the avatar, his name would be Ugg. And if Russ was the avatar, was the avatar, his name would be Ugg. He also said his niece plays for Montesano. And I ended up
Russ's
putting
niece?
him in.
I'm so confused.
No.
Russ's niece or Ugg's niece?
Francis's niece.
Oh, Francis' niece.
I put Francis in timeout for his comment about Russ by accident, and I can't untime out him.
Really?
And
that's so
Claire
funny.
Dog pointed out that he got deplatformed.
How did you
Francis, canceled. You're canceled, Francis.
Now
I was
wanna know
trying to
Francis'
react. I was trying to react to the thing, and I ended up, because I'm a moderator, I ended up putting him in timeout for
Here's the
300
thing.
seconds.
Guys, I really want to get
Put him
on
in
with
the
the
penalty box.
I really want to get on with the show, but I cannot stop watching this video.
Are you still watching it?
Playing on a loop, and every time it gets to this certain point, I'm just laughing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just talk about it. I'm just going to go ahead and talk
You should
about it.
share it on Twitter or
So,
something.
so I'll share it too. I'll share it as well. But what happened was LeBron.
hold this up to the camera?
Can you send it? I can.
Possible.
If you send it to me,
Okay.
Send a link to Andrew.
yeah.
Here, I'll
It's a
read.
good video.
Okay, yeah, I'll copy the link here. So
Basically, LeBron's out here punching people.
LeBron was frustrated because
I heard he punched a guy.
He was the victim of a hard box out with a little bit of a high elbow from a guy whose existence I'm learning of just today, whose name is Isaiah Stewart. He plays for the Pistons, and LeBron was frustrated.
I'm a fan.
LeBron was frustrated about this high box out with a little bit of it was a shove. It was a rough box out, and
Yeah.
could have been a foul.
You get
but-
down in there in the box out ranks and be ready to get pushed around a bit.
Yeah. And LeBron does this thing that I think Daniel and I agreed. It was a get off me. It was like a, hey, he swings his arm, but he's got a closed fist, and his closed fist connects with Isaiah Stewart's eye and hits him on apparently the part of the eye that cuts and bleeds easily and a lot because he's got blood pouring down the sides of his face. But that's not the funny parts of the video. The funny parts of the video are Isaiah Stewart goes mad.
Yeah.
He goes absolutely mental. I don't know why
That tweet
it became
you sent
British
me has been
all of a
deleted.
sudden.
Absolutely
Really?
mental.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
That tweet was deleted.
Yeah.
It got censored because it showed all-powerful LeBron doing something bad.
So the funny parts of this, and Daniel and I watched this together, it's pretty funny. So what happens is Isaiah Stewart goes completely mad, wants to beat up LeBron, wants to beat up every Laker that's in front of him. So he has, like, literally in the part of it I'm watching right now, there's like 8 people around him subduing him. He's a very big, strong man, and the image is of him just bleeding down the right side of his face with a crazy look in his eyes. He gets a bunch of guys on him from his team, pulling him to the side, and eventually he stops fighting.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, guys, I'm good. And you can read his lips, I'm good. He gets about a foot of space, and he pulls a juke move and runs away from them and takes off down the court towards where LeBron is. Almost gets to LeBron, but LeBron has his bodyguards, Russell Westbrook and DeAndre Jordan, out front. And right as Isaiah Stewart's about to get to him, a bunch more guys from his team grab him. This whole video is like 3 minutes long.
Yeah, and during that break for LeBron, he breaks like 6 tackles.
Yeah, it's
like the Seahawks need to get a hold of this guy because he was breaking through double team tackles.
It was Chris Carson-esque.
Yes, just blowing people up.
Yeah.
And on the rampage. And then that's not it. I thought that was it because that was the like, oh no, I'm good. Psych! I'm gonna get this guy. But it goes on.
Yeah, it goes on because they finally push him down into the tunnel. And all of a sudden you see on the camera that when he gets into the tunnel, he breaks away again and starts sprinting through the tunnel. And then you hear the commentators on the broadcast saying, uh-oh, he got away from him. You know what? This has happened at Staples Center once before. You can actually get to the other side by running through the tunnels. Someone's going over to the Lakers right now to warn them that Isaiah Stewart broke free of security in the tunnels and might be coming over to their side. I would encourage you. I'm struggling a little bit with how funny I'm supposed to think it is. Nobody's seriously hurt, right?
Yeah, nobody's
I'm
seriously
going to guess
hurt.
that probably Isaiah Stewart's going to get suspended for this reaction.
Yeah.
LeBron is at least going to get fined.
He got kicked out of the game.
They both got ejected.
Yeah.
So it is very possible that he could be suspended for at least a game as well. I mean, he did hit a guy in the face with a closed fist. Whether it was an intentional punch or not, it was absolutely reckless.
Yeah.
And he connected and actually hurt him.
Yep.
So I don't know what's going to happen exactly, but I just can't. I'm going to close it now because I'm not going to be able to focus on the rest of the show until this video.
I just
posted.
retweeted a different video of of it happening.
Okay. One of my favorite parts too about it is when he breaks free and runs down the tunnel. There's like a stream of like 15 people who just take off running in single file behind him, and you see them all running down and turning the corner.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, what's that 14th person gonna do? Is he gonna pass everybody, or is he just running for the sake of running right now? Like, what's going on?
There's also a really funny still image of Russell Westbrook during all of this that somebody took where Isaiah Stewart is trying to break out towards the side of the court where all the Lakers are. And literally it is LeBron standing under the basket, DeAndre Jordan in front of him, Russell Westbrook in front of him, and Russell Westbrook's got his dukes up. Like, he's in a boxing position, got his feet spread out. He's in a stance, like he's ready to fight. He's ready to punch somebody in the face. This whole situation it's funnier than it should be. I'm really enjoying it.
Well, it's funny, and it still can be funny because, like you said, nobody's seriously hurt.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about it. Like, I feel like we can say that's funny.
I feel like LeBron's also going to be okay with getting suspended for a game or so. He's missed a little time with an injury.
Yeah, I mean,
he's old.
Yeah,
he's
I mean,
waiting for the playoffs.
Yeah. Okay. Now it's time for your favorite part of the show. That's what it's time for now.
Serving questions up on a silver platter where the points are made up and the rules don't matter. Time for Stump Daniel.
In the ultimate stump move. I did not prepare Stump Daniel today.
Shocking.
So we are actually going to
Airbender
segue
trivia.
from this. And
Airbender trivia? We each asked
Daniel
each other
would know it
random
better
questions.
because he's watched it more recently than Justin.
I'm not even
No.
sure that's true.
No.
Justin's probably watched it. I've watched it twice through.
I have okay, so I watched it at least twice with Angel, with my wife, and then I think we've watched it twice through with the kids as well.
Okay.
But it's also one of those shows that I might have used as a background show. I've watched it quite a bit.
So your subconscious really knows the show.
Yeah.
Well.
If we had Avatar: The Last Airbender trivia, we should do that. Where like you and I should go up against each other.
Yeah.
Like Andrew could ask us questions and we could see who wins.
Are we gonna keep Korra in that, or can we just keep it to the first?
We could go original series to start. The only problem is Andrew's a very busy man, and I can't come up with the questions because then I would know all the answers.
Well, we could go head to head. Like
you ask me a question, I ask
question.
you a question.
Yeah, you definitely need to do it that way. I can't be involved in this because I don't
But
care.
that'd be really funny because I'm sure we'd both like end up coming up with questions or like seeing questions that. Yeah. So
Do you remember the name of the Earth Nation city that had the giant wall?
I should because they were just in it.
Yeah. It's a long, long way to.
Glad we didn't do this today. How do I not know that?
You should know it.
That's it. See, I would study up because I'm really frustrated with myself on this one because they were in, like I said, we're watching The Legend of Korra, and they were literally just in.
Ba Sing Se. Yeah, so in Ba Sing Se, Uncle Iroh
Sorry.
opened a tea shop, Daniel. What was the name?
I went all Isaiah Stewart.
What
for
was-
a second.
What was the name of the tea shop that Uncle Iroh opened in Ba Sing Se?
Something about a lotus?
No, the White Lotus is the secret organization that he's a part of.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay, well, no, he wouldn't put the name Lotus out there on a
Why-
tea shop. Then
why
people
not?
would start to figure about their secret society.
But the lotus was everywhere in the game that he was in. This Pai Zhao. Is it Pai Zhao? Is that the name of the game?
Yeah.
Ah, I got that right.
Good one, but what was the name of the tea shop?
I can't remember.
The Jasmine Dragon.
Oh yeah. See, now that was an Avatar one though. I'm in Korra right now.
What's the name of Korra's polar bear dog?
Naga. Aha!
Good one.
What's the name of Tenzin's flying bison?
Oogie.
Dang it. Okay.
What's the name of the fire ferret's fire ferret?
Pabu?
Good job.
I'm sweating.
Stump Daniel.
I'm literally
Daniel's in the
sweating.
beaver zone.
This impromptu edition of Stump Daniel is brought to you by the law office of Jeffrey A. Damashevitz.
By the way, pro bending, actually a fun sport.
Yeah.
Normally when random people try and make up sports for their fantasy novels or cartoons or whatever, the sports are terrible.
Pro bending's cool.
If
It's
Bender
actually-
Rodriguez isn't the champion, I don't want to hear about it.
He'd be good. Until he got metal bent. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Anyway, so... Wow, we are just moving through the show sheet today.
Let's take a commercial break. Do you have a legal situation and need someone on your side? Let the law office of Jeffrey A. Damashevitz be your advocate. If you've been the victim of medical malpractice, suffered a personal injury, or need representation with real estate law, small business law, or estate planning, let Jeff Damashevitz put his 29 years of experience to work for you. Call Jeff Damashevitz today at 360-612-3991 or visit damashevitzlaw.com. That's DAMASIEWICZLAW.com.
So the one day that I decided to actually share the link like on my Facebook page too is I think we've been more off the rails than we ever have been.
I actually think we've been on the rails. This is the kind of show that I want and like. Also,
This is what he plans for every week.
basically in the first segment here,
I just didn't know you planned for it.
the only thing I planned was 2-minute drill. I put Stump Daniel on here, but I didn't do a Stump Daniel. And we usually have one discussion topic. And instead of doing our normal Seahawks discussion topic, we kind of went off on Avatar / college football / LeBron punches Isaiah Stewart in the face.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm still thinking about it.
I know. You're going to be thinking about it for a lot. But So wait, oh gosh, you've switched everything up here.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I'm confused.
Yeah.
But now it's time for Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week. Thank you again to our sponsors, Ole Penn Real Estate and the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz. And now it is time for, like I said, the Ole Penn Athlete of the Week, who this week is the original inspiration of the Schmat trick. It's Jaiden Morrison. She had 2 goals and 2 assists in the state tournament, including Montesano's only goal in their Final Four appearance in the state tournament. They had the first game against Deer Park. That's the game she scored in. And then they faced La Jolla in the 3rd and 4th place matchup. Montesano comes away with the 4th place trophy. Not how they wanted the weekend to go, but also the first time that Montesano girls soccer has come away with the state trophy, which is 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place. So a crazy good season for the Montesano Bulldogs soccer team. And Jaiden Morrison has definitely been worthy of the Athlete of the Week multiple times this year. But, I mean, she's the last one standing here, as she, in the state tournament, had played a huge role in getting him to this weekend, and then also found success in the weekend as well.
Well, in her list of accomplishments in her life, Jaiden Morrison can now add multiple-time Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week award winner to that. I am very excited next week. We'll just tease this now. We're going to have Ian Cope on with us to recap this team. He knows this team very intimately. His daughter plays on it. And these girls, most of them have been playing together for about 10 years. Yeah. So next week, Ian Cope is going to come on and give us a really good recap of this season. And I'm very excited to hear what he's going to say about Jaiden. They also had league MVP Michaela Stanfield on this team. But on social media the other day, I saw someone who was very familiar with the team describe Jaiden Morrison as the driving force of the Bulldogs offense. So I'm really excited to see what Ian will say about that, since he's watched this team so much over the years.
Yeah, and she is a senior. So that's the age group specifically that Ian knows even better, because his daughter was a senior as well. And Jaiden has been a stud for this team for a long time. They fell, it ended up being 5-0 against La Jolla, but La Jolla was the 1 seed of the tournament. They got knocked off in a golden goal situation, extra time, against, I believe it was Seattle Christian or the Seattle Academy. I can't remember.
But La Jolla was the number 1 seeded team
in the state.
And I think that was the first game they lost all year. Is that right?
To the Seattle Academy?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, I think so.
So that was a brutal 3rd, 4th place matchup for Montesano to have faced. And obviously Deer Park's really good too.
Deer Park was insane. And they also have a girl who's going to Oregon to play soccer. So she was
going to the University of Oregon, or just I'm going to drive to Oregon and kick a soccer ball around in a field.
She's driving to McMinnville to play some soccer down there. Yeah. By herself though.
Just kick a ball around. Yep. Kick it into whatever net's there.
Yeah. Hanging out
between 2 cones.
But really, that is the only local sports thing that we have.
That's the local sports.
Next week's going to be thin too, because basketball doesn't even start until the following week.
Yeah. And they played on Saturday and Friday and Saturday, I guess would be the better way to say that. Wow. Yeah. We got the Andrew Yawn alert there.
Sorry.
So it's okay. Oh,
it's because it's late.
It's 5:30.
It's late. I don't like these afternoon games.
I'm also seeing...
That's most of them.
Since we're talking about local sports a little bit, apparently PL Willapa Valley, that's kind of on the edge of our range. Yeah. But no, Willapa Valley. Yeah. Olivia Matlock signs to play softball for St. Martin's University.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
That's nice. And then Aberdeen beats Rochester for first win of the season. What sport has started already?
Is there basketball going on already?
It's bowling.
Oh, bowling.
Gotcha. Okay.
But Aberdeen beat Rochester?
Yeah, Aberdeen beats Rochester for first win of the season.
Okay. So, congratulations, Bobcats.
Yeah, led by Sarah Harder's 149. It's a good round.
Okay.
All right. So there's our local sports roundup. It's that weird week, man.
Yeah.
I have a break. Usually we don't cover soccer, but because they made it to the Final Four, usually we don't cover baseball, but I've covered baseball when we had a team in the Final Four there. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like one of our oh, if we get a team in one of these tournaments that we don't, or sports that we don't cover usually, that's kind of like a, hey, let's try and get this on the radio. This is really cool. The problem is we've had a lot of like fast pitch teams, do that, but they're in such a bigger tournament that you kind of have to jump in at the beginning of that. And at some point we want to, because they play so many games.
Yeah.
I mean, fast pitch tournaments I hear are just amazing. And can you imagine, I'm really bummed we didn't do this, but I don't know how we would have. But when Elma, Hoquiam, and Montesano were all in the state tournament, that would be nuts.
Awesome.
That would have been so sweet.
You're running around from game to game.
Yeah, game to game, or if you get 2 games going on at once, if you could somehow figure out, like, that would have been really cool. But anyway, I have a break until December 3rd is when my first basketball broadcast
Is that Raymond girls at Montesano?
It is Raymond girls at Montesano.
I want to go to that game so badly to watch Kyra Gardner play.
To
watch Montesano play.
I gotta say, I pick I make the schedule.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I like to cover a certain amount of, Monty boys and girls, Elma boys and girls, Hoquiam boys and girls, Aberdeen boys and girls. So that's what I'm starting with. And I'm looking at the schedule, and I'm looking at that first week. I usually cover 1 game a week, unless it's Myrtle Street Rivalry week. Then I cover all 4 of those games, or 2, whatever. Mm-hmm. But I look at that first week, and I'm like, oh, Raymond. You don't say.
Yeah.
I am definitely scheduling this game. I'm so excited. Are you not going to come do that game with me?
The only downside to that is, as part of that trade-off, Montesano boys are playing in Raymond that same night at the same time.
The same night at the same time?
Yeah, so they're flipping.
I'm sorry,
spots.
Justin.
So
You're going to have to apologize to your son, Peyton.
My son is playing both JV and varsity because he's swinging. He's going to start the year swinging. So if I can get off work on time, I feel like I have to bust butt to Raymond to go watch that game.
But if you don't get off work on time,
then you go to Monty.
You'll be right there to just run over to Monty.
That's true. It's logical.
There's a good excuse. Peyton will understand. I wouldn't if I was him.
But he's pretty chill about that kind of stuff. Like
he probably doesn't want you as a fan, considering your fan antics.
Yeah, you start yelling at officials.
I haven't yelled at an official in quite a while.
Oh, actually, no, I meant just like you being a fan of the terrible teams and switching around and all that. Like your reasons for rooting.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That he calls you out on.
I don't know what you mean.
That just brings up like this scenario where I see Justin going to one of his son's games and then starting to root for the other team.
Is LeBron playing?
All right, that's gonna.
Or just someone named LeBron.
Yeah,
like even if it's not LeBron James. Oh, LeBron's on that?
Yeah, it's like LeBron Stevenson or something like that.
Could you imagine though, like the pressure on someone named LeBron? I'd never heard of that name till LeBron James, and I can't think of another person that I've seen named that.
Yeah.
So if your last name is Jordan, and
your first name was Michael,
and you name your child Michael, like
Michael B. Jordan.
Yes, exactly. Like that's an insane amount of pressure to put on a child. What if your child wants to play basketball? All they're ever going to hear is like, "Oh, you're no Michael Jordan."
Yeah.
All that kid's ever going to hear is, "Oh, you're no LeBron."
Your favorite number is 23. I'm sorry, kid.
Poor LeBron. Now I feel bad for everyone.
Poor LeBron.
I feel bad for everyone.
He hurt his
LeBron
hand on that guy's face.
He might have. He's pretty old. When you get to mine and LeBron's age, your bones get brittle.
But that reminds me, do we have another Sunday? Are we gonna do a show next week? I just thought of it. It's Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have done a basketball preview.
Want to do it right now?
No. 'Cause I have not prepared for this. I mean, Monty girls are going to be really good. There's a good preview for you. Kyra Gardner's really good.
Question though, do you guys have plans on Thanksgiving Sunday that would prevent you from doing a show?
No.
I don't think I do.
All right. Well, I'm glad we had that.
We'll do a
discussion.
basketball preview.
Sweet. Okay.
next Sunday.
That's going to do it for local sports.
And Ian. We have Ian next
And
Sunday.
Ian. That'll also be good.
So you're trying to cancel the show that Ian's coming on. Whoops. Daniel was like, okay, so that's funny because I'm going to reveal something you probably don't want me to reveal, but it's funny and it was a joke, okay? So when I texted the idea of, hey, let's ask Ian to come on to wrap up the soccer season, and I was like, Daniel, is that okay with you? And you texted back, no, I hate that guy. So now, not only have you put that in text, in black and white, but now you have also tried to cancel the show that Ian is already committed to come on.
Are you not going to say what I said the next text?
No.
Oh. I'm pretty sure I said, yeah, of course. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
It was an obvious joke.
Yes. Are you sure?
All I
Well,
remember
I
is
thought
Dan
it
saying
was.
he hated it.
I thought it was until now when you're like, hey guys, next Sunday none of us has anything going on, but we do have Ian planned on. Let's cancel the show.
Let's cancel. Oh, okay. Can we talk about the Seahawks?
Let's not.
Do we have to?
I don't. It's bad.
They're bad. They're not good.
They're not good. And it frustrates me because their offense has weapons, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Gerald Everett's good. Every time he touches the ball, it seems like he does something really good. Will Dissly, while that drop really sucked, is usually a pretty darn good tight end.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the secondary guys. Like, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are studs. I know Chris Carson's hurt, but Alex Collins has been running the ball really well.
Penny had a
And-
long run and is now questionable.
Okay. That poor guy.
I can totally relate with what you're saying on this, Daniel. And for me, it's not even it's not even just the offense. I'm looking at the defense going, okay, so the offense is obviously stacked with great top level talent.
Yeah.
The defense has multiple $18 million players. There's so many high quality players on the field. Why is this team not good?
Yeah.
How much of it can you pin on Russ and the fact that he was seemingly inaccurate for 2 weeks in a row?
Was he inaccurate again today?
I
didn't think he was that inaccurate.
I only heard that. I actually
missed a few. Like he missed high twice in a row in the end zone.
That might
he
be
wasn't. I mean, his accuracy, his percentage was terrible. It was. I don't remember what it was. At one point, he was like 13 for 28 or something.
I don't want to say because full disclosure.
That might be
I
wrong. 13 for
didn't-
23, maybe.
I didn't watch a good portion of the game.
I missed the first quarter.
I missed the first two and a half
he was
quarters.
14 for 26.
Yeah.
And when I started watching, yes, there was that trip into the red zone where he missed Everett high, and then he didn't see Swain, I don't think. I don't think he missed two in a row there. I think he...
Well, he chucked it high, didn't he?
Yeah,
Oh,
but it
okay.
wasn't to the open guy. It was more
Gotcha.
like a throwaway.
Fair
you
enough.
know? So, yeah, it was high. But why is he throwing it, like, standing in the pocket, nobody around him, and then throwing it deep into double coverage? And not like
More than once.
And not like double coverage where the safety comes over late, but they show the replay and there's two guys running on DK's either side of him for like 15 yards. And you're like, why? Like what's that about? And then Pete Carroll, I don't understand him. It's 3rd and 20 at the 50. And you run Travis Homer up the middle. Like, you don't even have to get a first down
And you
to
don't-
get into field goal range.
You also don't have the element of surprise on that because you always do that.
You do
so
that-
teams know that it's coming.
Literally, if I was a defense playing against the Seahawks, I would go into the game going, oh, 3rd and very long, Travis Homer run.
Yeah.
Because it happens every time. Like, if they tried to throw it now, it would be the element of surprise. It is seriously bizarre. And the color commentator goes, I know the fans are booing here, but,
as
you know,
as the stadium erupts in boos.
Yes.
That was Jonathan Vilma, right?
Yes. And Vilma
He's
goes,
terrible.
He's
bad.
not good.
And it sucks because I want a defensive guy to be good.
Yeah.
Because usually we just hear throw the ball constantly from quarterbacks. But he goes, oh, but this is a good decision. And I'm like, when is it a good decision to run the ball on 3rd and 20 where even if you only gain 10 to 15 yards, you could be in field goal range?
If you're a head coach who loves to punt, that's what you do. Or you take a knee. That'd be the other thing.
Yeah, he could take a knee. Also, Why he's challenging a random spot call early in the game to lose a timeout, I have no idea. When do spot calls ever get overturned?
Ever get overturned?
Seriously. What the crap? And the defense actually has been playing well. I'm sorry. I know it's hard. Today
They lost Trey Brown with a knee. He's questionable for week 12.
You know, that bummed me out. But
Well,
then
it
I
hurt
saw
them,
I saw how Sidney Jones played after that. I didn't think there was anything the corners did after that they didn't get burned at all.
Well, they were on the field for about 40 minutes.
That's true.
Exactly. Andrew, I think it was the same. I don't think it was the Trey Brown injury. I think it was they're on the field constantly because the offense can't do crap.
Yeah.
They allowed some long drives with lots of yards to McCoy after
Late in the
Brown
game.
went
Oh,
out.
Danny
after Brown
McCoy.
went out.
Late in the game when they'd already been on the field constantly.
That's fair.
Daniel
It's
Colt
the same
McCoy
thing that
comes
happened
through
last
again.
week. Yeah, good old Danny McCoy. Dear Lord.
He was looking like Kyler Murray a little bit on some of those plays.
That read option.
Yeah. Well,
And
also,
then the quarterback draw.
or the one where he evaded the rush and rolled out and then completed the ball about 15 yards downfield.
Yeah. It was no Kyler Murray, no DeAndre Hopkins, and you can't take advantage and put up 20 points on offense when your offense is supposed to be super high powered with all of these studs.
Yeah.
So you're pretty much out of it.
Yeah,
Like even last week we were going, they're only a game and a half out.
I had hope until this week.
Yeah. It's over. So what do you hope for the rest of the season now? Because the Seahawks don't even have their first round pick for next year.
There's nothing to maybe we can get somebody good. 'cause
And
we
Russ is
traded
probably
away.
going to be gone.
They'd have to trade him though, because he's
Yeah,
under
they would
contract.
have to trade him.
Yeah.
So maybe they could trade him for a few first round picks.
Maybe
Maybe
you know
the
what?
Jets. Maybe they can trade him to the Jets.
No, I don't want them to trade him. You know what they should do?
Trade him to the Jets.
Every
get their
time.
first
Maybe they can trade Pete Carroll.
You guys are going. Yes, you guys are going against. You guys are going against precedent.
Yeah.
What happens when a head coach goes up against a multi-million-dollar quarterback? The coach leaves. And I'm sorry, but that needs to happen. If you have to choose between one or the other, and I'm sorry, but what we're seeing this year with some of the game, just the game management decisions, just that, the complete lack of wanting to change at all, even though it's been proven to you over and over again, hey, this is actually what works, with some of those decisions, and now you have your multi-million-dollar quarterback that wants out. I'm sorry, but if you're an organization, you do what you can to keep the quarterback. That's what has been done this whole time, except for, when the quarterback gets super old, and then Tom Brady kind of bucks that precedent and goes and wins another Super Bowl.
So Bucks the president, like the president of the Patriots?
Bucks
Bill Belichick,
by
he bucked
going
him?
to the Bucks.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, no, there's two things you could go with there. Yeah.
So my question to you is then, when you say that the quarterback and the head coach are at odds, is that based on the organizational failure? Because Pete Carroll is technically in charge of everything, including all personnel. So the fact that Russ is frustrated by getting hit and this other stuff, that's Pete Carroll's fault because he has full personnel control? Or is there something that you've seen more specifically that makes you think that Pete and Russ are butting heads? Because it seemed like going into the season, they had their, at least publicly, they professed that they had their moments. They had been constantly in communication,
That looked
and that
so
they were on the
awkward.
same page.
That looked so awkward when they did that, though. Like, all of their oh, we're good, guys.
So you think their relationship is
weirdest-
not good?
I don't think it's good. I mean, okay, so why are you asking me that? You guys are the ones who are saying Russ is gone next year.
Well, no,
So
I
was just
I
carrying
was
on
saying
that.
Russ is gone next year because I wasn't thinking of it as a specifically he's at odds with Pete Carroll. I was thinking of it as he's looking at this as organizational failure. The
Which would be
organization,
Pete Carroll.
yeah, that's what I was asking you. I wasn't sure if you were asking at because Pete Carroll's the head, so the personnel decisions mean that it's Pete Carroll's fault regardless, and that's fair. I'm not saying it's not fair, but I was curious if there was something more that you had noticed where on the field, is there something specifically that you think Pete's doing that Russ doesn't like?
That's a harder question to
It's hard
answer,
because we
I'm
don't
not
It
know.
feels like
because-
the offense is not being set up. It's being set up in a way that Russ is fighting it. Whether that's I do not know. I can't point to like, oh, this person's doing this thing. But watching the offense play, it feels like they're running plays to do a certain thing, and Russ is consistently not doing that thing or holding the ball longer and throwing it deeper, or like there's no rhythm at all in the offense.
So that goes back to the conversation we had before a few weeks ago, which is there no rhythm because Shane Waldron can't put together a game plan that provides an offensive rhythm, or is it because Russ is not executing the game plan that's in front of him?
Yeah.
And it feels to me like it could easily be both of those things together, except I wouldn't blame Shane Waldron so much as Shane and Pete together. I don't think that what we're getting is what would happen if Shane Waldron were allowed to do whatever he wanted.
And
I think anyone who wants to say that is what is happening is absolutely insane and ignoring reality.
But then is that because Pete won't let him do it, or is it because Russ is like, no, I'm not
Probably
doing
both.
that? And that's the part. To me, that's the hardest part out of all of this. Is like there's so much stuff that we can't know.
Yeah,
About what goes on
absolutely.
behind the scenes and who's pulling what strings, especially since Russ seems to be like this total master of controlling his narrative and allowing people to say and think the things that he wants to be said and thought about him.
Yeah.
We don't really know like how much he pushes back on anything within the organization.
Yeah.
Like, did Shane Waldron come to him and say, hey, remember the first 5 weeks of last year when you guys were running this quick 3-step drop, boom, 5-step drop, boom, balls out quickly. I want to do that. And Russ said, no, we're not doing that. I don't like that. I want to improvise. I want to throw the ball down the field. So, and because that's really what Russ has done predominantly in his career. Like you
see, that's a hard one for me because when they were doing that, he was getting MVP talk.
Yeah.
And it seemed like Russ loved that. So why would he want to go away from that?
I don't know. It's a really good question. I just don't know.
Because then there was that bad game where he threw a bunch of interceptions, and then it really felt like Pete put the clamps on it.
Well, it was like
we're not doing that anymore.
It was like 3 really bad games in a 4-game stretch.
Yeah.
After that first 5 wins, they had a stretch of like a month of really bad football.
Yeah. The Bills, I guess, was just
How
the
much
worst
really
one of
bad
it.
football are we on now?
Seriously.
We had a month yet?
Yeah.
Is it time to put the brakes on and open?
I think
I think that I'm sorry to talk.
No,
over
go
you.
ahead. No, go ahead.
I think that reducing it down to throwing more or running less is a really big mistake because it's, to me, it isn't about, oh, they need to throw more, oh, they need to run less. Like, they need to get into a rhythm and all work together, and it doesn't feel like that's happening at all.
Yeah. And I hate to use the old broadcaster excuse of we don't know how to do that, but we're not the ones who get paid to do that.
Right. That's true.
But I like what you said. It's not necessarily throwing more, running less, because we've seen the Rams offense have success and a lot of teams' offense have success running a lot. And so it's a rhythm thing. And every single time, it seems like somebody asks, hey, what's wrong with the offense, Pete? And he goes, we have to convert third downs. Yeah. That is no crap, Pete.
You know a good way to convert third downs? Not by running with Travis Homer.
Yeah, but also having manageable third downs.
Yeah.
Like
Not
the first drive,
third and 20.
The first drive after that report, they run for 1 yard. That's fine. It's fine to run on first down. But when you run for 1 yard, maybe you should pass the next play. Nope, they run again for 2 yards, and then it's 3rd and 7, and they don't complete the third down. And I'm sure Pete Carroll's going, we got to complete on third downs. Not, oh, maybe we should get a 3rd and 3, Pete. Like, do something better. Like, change something. Like, figure something out. Don't just say we have to convert on third downs.
Francis is back off of timeout and says that Justin's rails are garbage. And because you said the show were on the rails, on your rails. And he also said that Russell's trade value is plummeting, which
No, it's
might be true.
It's not.
He
I
hasn't
don't
looked
think it
great.
is. He hasn't looked great, but he's 2 weeks back from a finger injury.
That's true.
I don't know.
And you
So
have
there's
several
injury
years
questions.
He's still youngish as quarterbacks go.
Yeah.
And you have several years of history that would seem to indicate that he's a top-level quarterback.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of trash quarterbacks in the league.
Francis is pointing out that Clap and Chew isn't doing it for you anymore.
Clap and chew.
Clap and Chew.
Oh, like Pete Carroll. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Thank you for making that awful noise. in
You're
there.
welcome.
That was.
I think the biggest thing that I struggle with in these conversations is just that, like, there are things that we assume are happening behind the scenes because we're trying to, like, read what's happening in public to try to figure out what's happening behind the scenes. When I feel like we have to have the disclaimer that we don't really know. We're trying to make our best guess about what's happening. Like,
Absolutely.
we're trying to make our best guess about whether or not Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson are on the same page, or how much of this is Shane Waldron and how much of it is Russ, or whatever. We're making our best guess based on what we've seen publicly, and it's just, I struggle with that a lot.
Yeah. Do you think that there might be? Every time I see Russell forcing the ball to DK Metcalf, I worry now. Like, he had 8 targets. 3 more than Tyler Lockett, 4 more than Gerald Everett. Everybody else had 3 or less. And he only had 4 catches. Are you worried that he's trying to force it to DK? I know I've had that thought again last year, and then Tyler Lockett then had like 14 catches the next game, and I was like, oh, no worries. But it felt weird a couple of times in this game.
I think it's like a Calvin Johnson effect where, like, you have the ultimate bailout cheat code. Like, oh, crap, I'm about to get sacked. I'm just going to throw the ball up to my big freak
Yeah.
and see if he can make a play. So I couldn't tell you.
I kind of agree with that. It feels to me like a lot of those throws are he's holding it, and he, like, we see this a lot where he's like holding it and doesn't throw it and doesn't throw it and doesn't throw it, and then he's like, well, I'm going to throw it up to double cover DK.
Yeah.
Okay, if there really was nowhere else to throw it,
That
but
makes sense.
oftentimes there's more than
I was just looking at the stats. Sidney Jones had 11 tackles. The cornerback.
as a corner.
Good. That's
and
not
I noticed
good.
that he was coming up and making, like, he also had some nice tackles, like one for a loss on a screen.
He had an
and
interception taken
like,
away.
Yeah, that was brutal. But yes, you don't want your cornerback to tackle that much. But I gotta say, when he was making tackles, most of the time I was going, "That's a nice tackle," and I haven't said that about
Corners.
many corners.
Maybe we can put him in at linebacker.
Well, the linebackers also had 15 and 14 tackles.
I bet sometimes commentators said that about Daniel Hargrove as a corner.
I
That's a nice tackle. That's a nice tackle.
They actually did say that when he was on a receiver, as a receiver.
I'm not sure if I had any tackles as a receiver.
Oh, I meant tackles of you.
Oh, like corners tackling you.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I got tackled nicely often.
I bet in our old rec flag football days you had some nice flag pulls though.
I did have some
bet
good
you did.
pulls. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that one time where you were covering one of my Bearcats games and I was about to get obliterated and you like yelled from the press box?
I will never forget that because it was against Portland.
Oh, that
And
team
they
was-
had monsters. And there was one guy specifically who was a linebacker. And you were really new. I don't remember if it was your first game, but it was definitely your first season.
I think it was. Yeah, it was. It
And-
was my first game against a good opponent.
I was up in the booth, and you ran like a little sit-down route.
Yep.
And this guy was bearing down on you, and I could see from even before the quarterback released the ball, I was like, that guy's going to tackle Daniel. Sure enough, he makes his break, you catch it, and I literally, from the press box, stood up and shouted, Daniel, get down!
Like somebody was trying to shoot me or something.
Terrified that guy was going to rip your head off. And to your credit, you did get down,
Yeah.
like as I was saying it. So I don't
Yeah.
think you didn't hear me and do it. You were already doing it.
Yeah, unlike DK, I never have a problem with trying to get too many extra yards.
That team, well, that league.
Daniel was not a yak receiver.
No.
I had a really good conversation with Peyton, my teenage son, the other day because one of the coaches on his team is loyal who played for the Bearcats, and he found out that Loyal played semi-pro football, and so we were talking about it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I made the comment to Peyton that there was like a bunch of super yoked, roided out guys that played in that league, and he was like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, that league was 50% made up of guys who had their football career ended in high school or college and couldn't let go.
Yep.
Like they were hanging on with everything possible, and yeah, some of them were taking some kind of supplements that made them stronger than
we weren't
others.
drug testing.
No.
And that's what he said. He's like, "There's no drug testing," and I was like, "Peyton, you don't understand what this semi-pro league was."
Yeah. Yeah. No, you don't.
So we had a really good conversation about Bearcats and how good Daniel was and all that stuff.
Does he want to see some highlights?
I got some highlight. I have a video.
Noish.
There's also such a disparity in that league because there was me who'd never played football before, and then that Portland team literally had like 5 guys from Portland State, 3 guys from Oregon State, and 2 guys from Oregon on the team, and I'm going, I watched you on TV.
And what was the name of the WSU quarterback who played for one of the teams?
Oh,
Because I was trying to recall it when I was.
It was one of the bad ones.
Yeah, but he played
Pick a name.
Division I quarterback for
Yeah, was it Lobestall?
Lobestall.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
Lobestall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
So
played
I
against
was trying to
Lobestall.
tell Peyton, there was a guy who was a Cougar quarterback that played in that league too. So
I
like
was
there were
unimpressed.
like real legit players, but there were also guys who just wandered into Stewart Field off the street and said, "I'll pay for my equipment. Can I play?"
Exactly. Yeah. There was a guy from UAB who played for Medford, and he was so
Quicker than
good.
a hiccup?
Quicker than a hiccup. I believe he had 2 punt returns and a kick return for a touchdown against us. But
He also caught a pass in the flat for a touchdown against me. I'm quite sure.
Yep. And thankfully, the only reason that my scoreless streak as a corner that year held up against him is because he juked the pants off of me when I was covering him on a slant, but he got tackled like 20 yards later. And I was like, whew.
I was just hoping that as I had this conversation with Peyton about Bearcats, that since his coach, Loyal Linton, played for the Bearcats and like all the players were kind of talking, "Oh, Coach Loyal played semi-pro football."
Yeah.
I was really hoping that after we talked, I didn't like downplay the league so badly that it changed his opinion of what his coach had accomplished, because I was like, "Well, yeah, Daniel and Andrew both played in that league. They never played any high school football." And he's like, "Really?" So like just anybody can play? And I was like, "Yeah, they had a quarterback who literally just was like, hey, I like playing Madden. Can I come be your backup quarterback?"
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So I was
So
like
then
you
when the
said,
quarterback got hurt, Loyal was our quarterback instead of the backup quarterback.
But it was a really
you know,
wide range, and Loyal was a legit athlete. Like I'm
Yes.
not trying to downplay. Like Loyal was really good.
Yes.
So
Well, that's the mix.
yeah, exactly.
Because and when I talked about that guy from UAB, like he wasn't like bottom of the roster. He was like having articles written about how he was gonna be drafted in the NFL draft, and then he blew out his knee his senior year. Like I found him on the internet, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy was like a stud as a junior. Like led them in all-purpose yards, gonna get drafted, blows out his knee his senior year, and I was just like, oh, that's the guy I was running around with because I paid for my equipment to play football.
I just looked down at what's trending on Twitter.
Yeah. Is it LeBron punch face?
Fire Pete is trending on
Oh,
Twitter.
Oh, wow.
oof.
I'm not gonna click on it and see what people are saying.
Pete Davidson.
Francis has chimed in. He thinks that Russ is running the plays he's told to run instead of what he thinks is going to work. Or he says he is doing that. It might be Waldron that he thinks is doing that, but somebody's running the plays he's told to instead of what he thinks is going to work.
That's really helpful.
He also says it's ground chuck. Saw it in the 80s.
Okay.
Ground chuck. And we saw that at USC, too. Anyway.
I've got 3 poll results. I didn't
Good.
post a lot of polls, but I do have a few.
All right.
The first one is, have you ever met a goat?
Yes, I met a goat.
75% of people said yes, they have met a goat. Here's the next question. Have you ever gotten to know a goat on an emotional level? This has never happened before, but 100% of people said no, they have never gotten to know a goat on an emotional level. The context of that was talking about goats, and Daniel was like, "Oh, I love goats," and Andrew was like, "No, goats are jerks. You don't know anything." And Daniel was like, "Well, I've met a goat," and Andrew was like, "Well, you've never spent any real time with a goat if you think goats are cool." And the last poll question was, which would win in a fight, a beaver or a duck?
Beaver.
I'm sad to say 67% of the audience said that a duck would win in a fight between a beaver and a duck. I'm not sure how it works.
I have deep questions about
I would
our
like
respondents to this poll.
Anybody who answered duck, I would like to know what your reasoning was. Is it because, in theory, a duck would have the higher ground, even though technically the duck that is Oregon's mascot was based on a type of duck that is a flightless bird. So technically you would have a flightless duck going up against the beaver, which would be about 5 times its size.
Yeah. And
So-
with very sharp teeth.
Yeah,
Five
iron
times seems on the low end.
teeth. Okay. Yeah, you could
Like-
be right.
I would say more like 10 times.
Wow. Are beavers really that big? Or
Beavers
ducks
are
not?
way bigger than ducks. Ducks
Yeah.
are not big.
I know. I mean, I ran over a
Whoa.
beaver once. Beavers are big. Wait.
Average beaver weight is 24 to 71 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that guy. He's cute. I mean,
Those
fierce.
metal teeth, though.
I mean, fierce.
Average duck weight. The highest average duck weight that I'm seeing is 3.5 pounds.
Oh, yeah,
so
so
the
Andrew's
low
right.
end of a beaver is 10 times the weight of the largest duck that I
think
could
a
come
lot
up
of
with.
people on Twitter didn't realize how big beavers were
Yeah,
either.
I think you're right.
Or that they have metal teeth.
I forgot about the metal.
You got to watch out for those big old beavers.
Francis points out that corners that are great at tackling also means he's giving up receptions, which he's right. And I felt like Colt McCoy was getting a lot of receptions at the end of the game.
I don't think
true.
Colt
You can
McCoy
say it's
had
because they're
one
tired
reception.
out. That was probably he was getting a lot of receptions for his passes.
That is true. The ones
Yeah.
that I was specifically noticing were, hey, a running back caught the ball
Yeah.
in the flat and he came up and made the tackle,
Yeah.
which is not a catch on that receiver, and then he's tackling a running back. So
It might be. You don't know what his assignments are. I'm sorry.
I do in that defense. They never play cover 2. All right, we're gonna take a commercial break before this ridiculousness goes any further, and then come back.
At Ole Pen Real Estate, we have solidified our foundation on 4 core values. First, we continuously focus on growing our knowledge in the market and in our practices to bring the highest level of competency to our clients. Second, we provide a high level of integrity, compassion, and kindness in every aspect of our business. Third, we put the human element above business through humor, enthusiasm, and patience. And last but not least, we proactively respond to the needs of our clients. Our mission is to create a personal real estate experience, one person and one home at a time. With Ole Pen, it's personal.
Thank you again to our sponsors, the Law Office of Jeffrey A. Damashevitz and Ole Pen Real Estate, the sponsor of our Ole Pen Real Estate Athlete of the Week every single week. And now we are going to get into
The mailbag.
Yes,
Send
the
us your
mailbag.
stuff. Send us your stuff in a mailbag.
We got some questions from Francis. Actually, some of them are questions and a couple of them are just statements. So here's the first one. Are Pete and John conspiring against Russ by playing him? I think Russ wants to play.
Yeah, I think Russ wants to play.
But they could be conspiring against him by allowing him to play, even though they know it's not best for him, even though he wants to.
You know, I had somebody ask me today, my brother was texting me during the game, and he said it doesn't seem like Russ cares as much as he used to. And I was like, I don't know about that. I mean, he's always been pretty stoic.
I just don't know how we would know that.
And then I was like, seeing that he came back from this injury literally as fast as possible, I think that he cares. Like, why would he try and get out there so fast?
But that is something that people seem to believe about Russ. Like that he's gotten into this superstar lifestyle, married a famous singer, started his own podcast, became an editor for the Players Tribune, and like those things have taken a bigger role to where he cares less about football. But anybody who watched him watch the Super Bowl, seemingly in pain just from not being on the field and having to watch it from a box,
Yeah.
it's hard to imagine that he doesn't care about the game as much as he used to.
I'm not taking this side, so I'm not making this my argument, but I think the argument is not that he doesn't care at all. It's that he cares about himself more, and he's kind of given up on the team. Like, he came back, and he made a big deal about coming back fast, not because he wanted to win a Super Bowl with the Seahawks this year, but because it's important to him to come back quickly and establish himself as being amazingly resilient and coming back quickly and just, a great healer.
It's more about his legacy.
That argument is that he's so focused on his legacy, and he hasn't. I can see why people would think that. I don't think that I have any reason to think that. Like, I don't think that there's any good reason to think it other than they aren't winning, and
it's easier to think a lot of different things when you're not winning.
Yeah, exactly.
The next thing Francis said was, all my adolescent disdain for the ground chuck Seahawk era comes right back when I watch the Sea Chickens now. Only now it's justified because they are awful. Puke emoji. And it's only the first half.
I'm assuming you sent that in the first half.
Yeah, we're with you on that one, Francis.
Yeah, that was...
Should Russell Wilson be benched? He is hurting his trade value right now. Which actually came up earlier in this show. I don't think it's true.
I don't think that's true. I don't think he should be benched because they cut Jake Luton. So stupid. Stupid move, Seahawks.
Next one from Francis. Is Zach Ertz a Hall of Famer? If he keeps playing the Seahawks, he will be. This was another thing I think he texted into the chat. Coach Clappenchew has got to go this year, right? It's hard. I'm just not ready.
I would really like to see Pete take a step back and hire a coach to manage the game.
Oh, yeah.
And hire an offensive coordinator to manage his offense.
Yeah, Andrew and I were saying that, well, I was saying that he needs to be given the I took it a little farther than Andrew wanted, because Andrew was like, he should still be in charge of like everything, like an overlord or general manager.
Like a president of football operations.
Yes. And I was saying that they need to pull the Ichiro situation on him and be like, you're not going to play anymore, but you can still hang around and talk to us and wear your uniform if you want.
We want you to pump the team up and be on the sideline.
We'll still give you a bunch of gum to chew, but that headset you're wearing isn't going to be connected to anything. Like, I think he obviously brings value to so many different things, football related, but golly, man. I don't know what it is about defensive coordinators, but they are the worst, or defensive coaches. When it comes to letting an offensive coach do things like an offensive coach wants to, you hear so many stories about defensive-minded head coaches just choking the life out of offensive coaches. It's brutal.
Choking the life, literally.
Out of their creativity.
Bodies.
I really
choking the life out of their bodies.
Football's a physical game.
Last question from Francis. And then before we sign off, I'll read a little bit of the reaction to my power ranking from last week.
Okay.
Which was top 5 holidays.
Which was actually pretty good for once.
Thank you for all the time. Francis said, Titans just lost to the Texans in the No Oilers Here Bowl.
They did?
No Oilers
The hell?
Here.
The question is, the hell?
I saw that they were down in the first quarter,
Yeah.
and then I was like, that's okay. That won't happen.
They almost came back and then couldn't finish it off and lost by
Who's
9.
playing quarterback for? Is it still that Anderson or
what?
for the Texans?
The fact that we don't know for sure,
I don't know
is
who's
a
playing
pretty good
quarterback for 'em.
indication that the
Isn't
Titans
it-
should not have lost this game.
Isn't it Tyrod
No,
Taylor?
he got hurt. I think he's out.
I thought he was back.
Maybe he's back.
I don't-
But that's what I'm saying. The fact that we don't know the answer to that question is a fair indication that there's no reason the Titans should have lost this game.
Like Danny McCoy.
Yeah,
playing
Tyrod
for
Taylor
the-
is playing for him.
Okay.
So, football's freaking weird, man.
Yeah, dude.
It's always weird. This year feels weirder than normal.
It does.
The Titans just won 6 games in a row. 5 of them were against playoff teams from last season. Like, they beat Kansas City. They beat Buffalo. They're going through and beating quality teams.
And yet they've lost to Jacksonville.
They lost to the Jets. And they lost to, now, the Texans.
Ugh.
At least when they lost to the Jets, you can go, well, both of their good receivers were out that game.
Yeah. That did hurt them in this game. Their number 3 receiver looked like he came up with a hamstring injury.
Yeah, and then A.J. Brown went out at one point during the game too, but they were already losing by 2 scores at that point.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't. I can't think of a good reason why, and it's frustrating because I'm like trying to be like, oh, who's gonna win this week? Well, yeah, the Titans have won 6 in a row. They're really good. They're playing against a garbage team. Oh no, now I remember. Football's just gonna football all over the place.
The amount of backup quarterbacks that have won games this season is ridiculous, and only one of those wins really made sense, and that was when Geno Smith beat the Jaguars. Jaguars. That
Geno
team.
Smith.
The Bills also lost to the Colts today, 15-41.
The Bills just lost to the Jaguars and only scored 6 points a couple weeks ago. Nothing they do is going to surprise me because it's football.
The
But through the
Packers
first
lost.
5 weeks, they look like the best team in the NFL. The Packers
Yeah.
lost to the Vikings.
So weird.
This crap is weird, man.
Hey, but
Very little of it
the-
makes any sense.
It's not that weird yet. The Lions still lost
Okay, good.
to the Browns.
We got that going for us.
Yeah. So final
At least
thing.
that's still the
I'll,
same.
I'll just read a couple of reactions from my list. And if you didn't listen last week, top 5 holidays, my power ranking was number 5, Super Bowl Sunday. Number 4, Christmas. Number 3, Easter. Number 2, 4th of July. And number 1, Thanksgiving. I did take a little bit of crap from people, just verbally, that Christmas was too low, even though I think my reasoning for it being there was pretty solid.
I really appreciated your rant about it.
Thank you.
Your rant
also,
was great.
I should and did formally apologize because I went a little hard last week on people who decorate early for Christmas, and I called them bozos.
You called them bozos
And
multiple times to the camera.
I feel like I did it on Twitter already, but I'll apologize now on the podcast as well. I apologize to bozos everywhere for comparing you to the most vile creatures, which are early Christmas decorators. I'm embarrassed of my town right now because if you drive through downtown Montesano, there are Christmas decorations up on the light poles.
Francis says Tennessee over North Carolina. Sorry, Fire Lord. Not sorry.
It's been a rough weekend. Tar Heels lost twice.
Yikes.
But the Tar Heels football team beat Wofford. So there's that.
Dude,
Hooray.
the Oregon State basketball team lost to Samford. I thought it was a typo. On the thing.
I looked
saw
into
first.
that. It's just a guy named Sam Ford. They played against one guy. Yeah. So
I was like, what is Samford?
Yeah.
What is this?
couple reactions. Steve says, replace number 3 with Halloween. He also, I think he was the one who said something to me about how any excuse you have to scare people always makes a holiday better.
Yeah.
Even though we all kind of agreed Halloween's okay, but it's probably the most overrated. It's like the Mariano Rivera
It is.
of holidays. Mariano Rivera, in case you didn't know,
Or
most overrated athlete of any time, all time in any sport.
yeah, it might even, it might not be that overrated. It might be like Derek Jeter's Gold Glove.
True, probably true. A good, solid player who's mildly overrated, but didn't get 100% of Hall of Fame voting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Steve said, and I have no idea how true this is, if this is like an actual thing or if this is just his opinion. He says Easter is not a holiday; it's an observance because it's not held on the same day or even in the same month every year.
So did he add the month because then he realized, oh crap, Thanksgiving's not held on
Well,
the same day?
I pointed out Thanksgiving, and he said Thanksgiving is always the 4th Thursday in November, which is true. Easter, the Sunday of Easter is based on the full moon.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
weird.
It's like the first Sunday after the first full moon of the year or something like
I
that.
always wondered why it was. Like,
Yeah,
that's
so
weird.
it's super random. Like Easter's moved all over the place, but still, to me, it's always on a Sunday. I dig that. Jamie said, "Oh, here's where I heard the making people scared is great." It's Jamie. Jamie said, "Halloween's number 5. Making people scared is great regardless of age." Number 4 is opening day of baseball.
Oh.
Number 3 is NFL
That's not
draft.
a holiday.
This
Should be.
This is Jamie's list.
Super Bowl Sunday is also not a holiday,
Yeah.
but it was on Justin's list.
Oh, that's a good point.
Number
Fair
3,
point.
well,
fair
Super
argument.
Bowl Sunday is more of a holiday than the opening day of baseball.
Both of them should be
Yes.
holidays.
Yes.
Jamie also says number 3 is NFL draft / fantasy draft. Only time all of my friends are able to get together. Number 2 is 4th of July. He adds boom.
Boom.
And number 1 to Jamie is Super Bowl Sunday. There's
Wow.
also a comment from Justin that says this is a flawless list. And
Justin, somebody.
A comment from Lynette that 4th of July should be number 1.
Wow. But that was her only critique.
If you put 4th of July number 1 and Thanksgiving number 2, I would disagree, but I wouldn't be angry. I'd be like, okay. I prefer the cool one.
Was
like temperature cool.
Was that Damaskowitz? Was that Justin?
Justine
I
Damaskowitz.
already closed the window.
Damaskowitz?
Sorry. I was going to I already closed the window, so I
Damasowicz?
couldn't tell you for sure which Justin it was.
Okay.
There's a lot of Justins.
But there was a
though.
Justin out there who said it was a flawless list.
Yeah. Okay.
Some of them.
All right. That means we're going to still hold on to this mailbag topic that's been in here for about half the year now, but it's a good one.
You want to do it next week?
Maybe next week we'll have time
I think
for it.
next week would actually be a really good week for it.
I think so too. So make sure you watch next week because it's a doozy and it's going to take a lot more talking than we usually put
you wanna
to
tease
the
it?
Mailbag. Like say what the topic is?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, so we have had this long-standing question in there of how big of a problem is daddy ball in youth and high school sports. Tune in next week because we all have very strong opinions.
I got
on this.
opinions, bruh.
Yes. So that's going to do it for our show this week, though. So
We'll also be previewing the basketball season, right?
Yeah, but
okay.
we already talked
and
about
talking
that.
to Ian Cope.
Yeah, it's a teaser, bro. It's a teaser.
So I have
You
to
got to
tease all
tease the
those
whole
things?
show. You tease the whole
Tease
show.
the show, Daniel.
We
Tease the show.
We teased this.
Who did you
things
tase?
earlier. I tased those earlier.
Don't tease me, bro.
Fine. Okay. Make sure you tune in next week because we'll have a high school basketball preview for our local area teams. We'll also be talking to Ian Cope and doing a postmortem on the amazing Montesano girls soccer team that just finished 4th in the state. Also, how big of a problem is daddy ball in youth and high school sports? All of that next week on the show. Make sure you tune in. But for this
That was a
week's
little
episode,
long, a little wordy. So for my co-host Daniel, the semi-pro superstar Hargrove,
my co-host Justin, the meanie pants, jerkwad,
Butts,
Domashevitz,
and our trusty producer Andrew, Big Ol' Beavers Gross.
been listening to the scrimmage.
Trim the fat, Daniel. That's all I'm saying.
That was great. That was perfect.
You butt. I was all proud of myself because I got through all of it like
Totally nailed it.
I didn't stumble at all. And
Totally
then you're
nailed
like,
it.
That's a little long.